anyone can start an agency, but should everyone start an agency? It's two very different people for whom an agency is relevant and a freelancing career is relevant. I am Yogesh. I run SimplePlan Media. We are a creative studio that specializes in end-to-end brand development. For the last 8 years, we have worked with over 300 brands, and we are a team of over 50 people with specializations in branding, development, production, and so on. This is a snippet of a conversation with my team because they keep asking me these random questions, and we thought that we might as well create a video out of it. Let me know in comments if you like it, and if you don't like it, let me know what would you like us to cover in the future videos. So here it goes. The pros and cons of both approaches are very different. So maybe first let's look at the pros and cons of each, and then maybe we can understand what is right for you specifically. If you want to become a freelancer, there are certain advantages and then there are certain disadvantages. The primary advantage that you get is that you can be highly competitive as compared to global standards, because you're staying in India. On a global standard, your price point will be very attractive when compared with everyone that is out there internationally. Plus you are an individual, so you can charge based upon whatever is relevant for you. That's a very big pro. The second most important pro is the amount of flexibility that you get. The flexibility in terms of the lifestyle that you want to live, where you want to live that lifestyle. You don't need to be in a metro city to become a freelancer now. With 5G and the internet booming in India as well, you can stay in a very remote cool location like maybe like Manali or some place in India and still be a freelancer. There are platforms like Fiverr, Upwork, Freelancer, all these platforms. You can win clients online, you can do work on your computer, and you can deliver work online. So this gives you immense flexibility. And then there are other factors too, like for example, there is a lot of tax saving in a country like India. You can be a solo entrepreneur, solopreneur, whatever you like to call it, and you get tax benefit in terms of the kind of equipment that you buy, like the laptops, your devices you can buy, and you can get tax rebate on it. It's a booming economy in general for freelancers. So I think based upon stats in 2020, it was like close to 15 million people who were freelancers, and it's expected to rise up to I think 23 or 24 million by 2030. So there are so many people in the freelance market now that a lot of people who are hiring for different projects, they're also specifically now looking for freelancers. So that's a competitive edge also that you get if you are a freelancer, because there will be certain kinds of projects that you will only get as a freelancer. You can't win it as an agency, or if you're working with someone, you can't do that simply. So these are like the advantages of being a freelancer. There are of course cons to it. So the biggest con I can think of would be the inconsistency that comes in terms of the income. You don't have a stable flow of income. That's the biggest con, I would say. But if you can cross that hurdle, because you're an individual freelancer, you have to make sure that you always have projects on a month-to-month basis. You're getting paid and you're getting payments out from the clients also. So a lot of times when you do the projects, sometimes you don't get paid. So that's part and parcel. That's the risk involved in becoming a freelancer. You don't have a stable income per se. Other than that, there is just one more con associated with freelancing, and that's that you are very limited in terms of what you're learning. Because when you work with people, when you're working in an agency or you are building your own agency, then you work with like 10, 20, 30 different people, right? And we know at SimplePlan, like when we are working with different people, you get to learn so much from different people. With freelancing, that becomes a little restrictive because the only person you can probably learn from is YouTube. You can watch videos like this on YouTube and you can learn. But you can't learn on the go through different experiences with different people. That's a secondary con. So that's probably like two of the biggest cons with working as a freelancer. Now looking at agency, when it comes to the cons of operating an agency, all the pros that we listed in freelancing are kind of like the cons here. You can't get absolute freedom. You're not very competitive now as compared to when you are a freelancer, because now you have to price out projects in a way that your entire team gets their salaries on time. So all the pros that were established there now kind of become your cons. But there are a lot of advantages as well. The first one being that you'll have access to different areas of expertise. You'll have a team where a strategist will be a expert in their domain, a designer will be an expert, someone who's a motion designer is an expert in their domain. So the basic pro is that you get to work with all these different kinds of people and you get to learn with them along the way. The second pro that you get with working with an agency is you build a sort of like a higher trust level with specific kind of clients. If the client is a business that is a medium size or big size business or an enterprise size business, chances are they are most likely to work with an agency rather than a freelancer. Because again, agencies, they stand for trust. If a person is sick, the work still continues. There is someone else who will be doing the work. So it comes in inherent trust that an agency is not going to shut down the next day after taking your money and just run away with your money. So inherent trust comes with agency. So it's easier to win like these big short clients. It's easier to win them. The third advantage that you probably get is that you have better resources at your disposal. As you grow, you'll probably invest in a lot of different tools and softwares which give you a lot of leverage. Like you don't have to do tasks like creating an invoice by yourself manually. When you're a freelancer, chances are that you're doing all these menial tasks by yourself. So you can automate a lot of these by investing in the right tools and the right resources. Plus it's justified now in your head to invest in these resources, because if you don't do it, you're probably going to hire someone to do it, and that's going to be more expensive than getting a paid tool. And the last one being that you can offer a lot more than you can as a freelancer. With an agency, even if the work is done, you can enter discussions where you can talk about the long-term maintenance with the client. Maybe if you're a creative professional, then talk about that I would like to create your social media post in future. So like there is a lot of upselling that can happen if you hire the right people in an agency, because that's the biggest advantage of running an agency. You get to work with different people. Now you can get more projects.
Agency is the only way to do it.
So I started this in 2018, right? So that's close to like 8 years ago. The landscape at that point of time was very different than what it is today. So the context might be a little different, but the biggest challenge that I saw at that point of time, like 8 years ago, pre-pandemic, that we weren't doing great design a lot. And sure, there were some agencies who were doing very top-notch design that was like unaffordable for general businesses, and people didn't care a lot about design. Branding was a very secondary thought when a business was being launched. Back then, everyone used to pay attention to what kind of website they would have, and that's it. And they didn't care a lot about aesthetics and the branding and those side of things. So that was a key missing factor in the Indian context. A lot of that has changed in the last 5 years, I must say. After the pandemic, with the boom of Shark Tank in India and these different freelancing cultures that have evolved in the country, now branding is affordable again. But the movement started back pre-pandemic with agencies like ours, because they want a lot of options. If someone wanted to get a good brand out, they had to pay like lakhs and lakhs of rupees just to work with an agency who can do decent kind of work. But yeah, like that landscape is different now. The second most prominent challenge that I saw back when we started this agency was there wasn't an agency that was catering to people as their first priority. So agency culture is generally very hustle mode, and we are also workforce. It's not very different in that regard. But the difference is we actually care about people, and that's something that I realized when I had talked to like at least 10 different agency people. Everyone hated their jobs. They wanted to be in an agency, but every one of them hated their jobs. The only reason was that no one cared about them as people. They only cared about whatever they were working on. So that's a shift that we also wanted to make in this model. And now you kind of like see that impact in today's world, because there are so many agencies that have to focus on culture because the landscape is now shifting. Like for example, Zomato had a complete PR campaign like a couple of years ago where they announced like menstruation leaves for women. We have been given menstruation leaves since day one back in 2018 when no one had heard about it. So the inherent culture was that care about people, and inherently people who really like working on whatever they are doing, they'll do their jobs if you find the right people. So that's a fine balance. That's the kind of ethos we've kind of started with. And that's the reason why I had to start an agency. If given a choice, if I would have found this culture somewhere else, the likelihood of me starting my own agency would be very less. I didn't get it, so I had to build it.
Build your career as a freelancer then, in today's day and age.
Like, this answer would be different for every person, I would say. It can't be same for two people. If you ask me, would I start an agency again? But it's also important to understand that the landscape has shifted a lot. Now there are a lot more agencies than there were 8 years ago, and I think it will continue to increase. But that doesn't change anything. Good quality work is still rewarded. So I probably would still start an agency. It would probably be in a very specific domain though. So I would probably pick a niche that is specific, something like personal branding, maybe something like content creation specifically. We made a documentary series on this channel. You can probably go and check it out. But so maybe I would just start an agency that does documentaries for different businesses, because people want to see the real side of the business, right? And that's the shift that is happening in today's market. So if I had to start an agency, this is what I would think. What is a very specific thing that I can provide that is not happening elsewhere? Like, other people are either not providing it, or if they are providing it, it's too expensive, it's too out of reach, right? But another factor why I would start an agency is because it's a good first business to start. It's a business that gives you just confidence. It's not going to make you a multi-billionaire for sure, and whoever is watching this, I want to assure you, you won't be. It won't, because it's a at the end of the day, it's a service business, right? But it's a good first business to have, because it gives you so much freedom to explore other things in life. Just because I have an agency, we have been able to do like 4 or 5 different things. A very good example is this channel. So we have been able to explore this because we have a stable business that is running by itself. Sure, it took some time to run it, because at the very beginning it's pretty brutal. You are fighting with prices, you are pitching with other agencies, and it's a race to the bottom almost. So it's a hard business to get in, but the answer would also depend upon what is your priority. So if you're a designer and you really like to design, and that's the part that you enjoy the most, then I would say, like, stick to that. Keep doing it for better and better people. Because if you do end up starting an agency, then you will have to get into a very different role. First of all, you'll have to do sales, you'll have to get clients in, you'll have to manage your team, you'll have to do timesheets and so many things, like just processes and systems and so on and so forth. Versus if you are a person who really likes to get the work done by other people, right? You really like the processes, the systems, you like to build something and then leave it and then teach other people how to do it, and that's what you really enjoy. You like collaborating with people a lot. You like talking to different clients. You like to talk about different perspectives with different people. So if that is what your core focus is, then probably an agency is the better fit for you rather than being a freelancer, because you'll get bored. It's two very different people for whom an agency is relevant and a freelancing career is relevant. Two different priorities, I would say. So don't merge the two. If you're happy with freelancing, stick to that. But if you have a constant ring that I want to build better systems, I want to talk to more people, I want to build a bigger team, then only go for an agency model. And that also you should do when you are overflowing with work, right? So for example, if you have you had a monthly goal of 2 lakhs a month and you are constantly hitting that for 3 months, then increase that goal to, let's say, 4 lakh, and you're constantly hitting that for the next 3-4 months again. Now you have enough work that you can't handle it by yourself. Only then decide to hire a team. First start with a couple of people, run that for 3-4 months again, and then scale it up. Because the cost of starting an agency is absolutely zero. So the barrier of entry is literally very negligible. So anyone can start an agency. But should everyone start an agency? Probably not.